Okay, so in today's video, we're in sunny Florida at our house doing some modifications to our Host truck camper. And on this video, who doesn't like more power, right? So that's what this one's all about, is how we're gonna put more power into this thing, which is our Host Yukon. So we're gonna be showing you how we install a Sterling DC to DC.
Welcome to our channel. We are Forever Dreaming. We are Danny and Donna. We take you along with us as we travel in our truck camper. We show you how we do it, where we stay, and where we go while we're there to have fun. We also give you tips about what we find that makes things better and easier. We invite you to subscribe to our channel to see where the next adventure takes us. Stay tuned to see what we're doing now.
Guys, so like I said in the video, who doesn't like more power? And that's what we're going to talk to today. We're going to show you how we're going to install a Sterling DC to DC charger. This is not a professional install. This is a Danny install. I am not a certified electrician or solar guy or battery guy. I'm just trying to show you how I did it. So follow along if you want to. So on our truck camper, we have a 2023 Host Yukon, and it has the Experian battery system in there, which is 3 cubes, and it's 180 amp hours of battery. And it came with this DC to DC charger. It's a 25 amp. Really small. And what we're doing is I took this one out. I didn't show you how I did it because who really cares how you take it out? You want to see how you put the new one in, right? So that's what this video is going to be about. So I took this one out and we installed the Sterling 120 amp DC to DC smart charger. So this is almost 100 amps larger than this one. So I'm going to give you a backstory on why we went this way. So while we're here down in sunny Florida doing some upgrades to our truck and truck camper, I wanted to upgrade the DC to DC charger because 25 amps is just basically just 25 amps. So I was looking at the Victron. So some of the stuff we have in the truck camper for our solar system, we have a Victron shunt, and that tells me what power is going in, what power is going out through their Victron app. Victron, the app is just amazing. So I was looking at the Victron 50 amp DC to DC charger. They're fairly new. And I was looking at putting 2 of them together and so I could get 100 amps. So it'd have twice the cost, plus the wiring and connections and everything. And I was watching this one guy's video and he made a lot of sense. He said, Victron's awesome. Victron's a really good product. But if you're only buying Victron for the app, in other words, the DC to DC 50 amp Victron, you know, that comes with an app, right? The Victron app, so I can see what that piece of gear is putting in or putting out power-wise. You don't really need that because most people that have Victron stuff, they're using either the monitor that shows everything or reading the shunt part of the app that shows the input and output. And I'm like, that made a lot of sense. You really don't need to buy the Victron DC to DC charger in order to use the Victron shunt. So fast forward, I started doing a lot more research and I came upon Sterling. So Sterling, with my research, they're basically the forefathers of the DC to DC. They're the ones that kind of came out with it, and especially for marine applications and stuff. So the Sterling is a very good unit. It doesn't have an app. And that's why the shunt for the Victron comes in handy for my application. So with going from 2 Victron DC to DC 50 amps to 1 Sterling that's large, or 120 amps versus 100 amps, and it was internally fan, on this side it has internal fans that keeps the temperature down to 86 degrees. So one of the biggest complaints about the Victron is that they put out a lot of heat. The new 50 amp is supposed to be cooler than the 30 amp was, but they still recommend when you install the new 50 amps that you buy the aftermarket fan that goes, it's like a computer fan that mounts to the back of the 50 amp to help keep it cooled, because it can get up to excessive 120 degrees. I didn't like that, especially in our enclosed, what they call the morgue on a Host camper. So an enclosed area, there's no ventilation. So I was worried about the excessive temperatures with that. and that was one of the things that led me towards going with the Sterling. Another thing with the Sterling versus this one, the Expion, this is not a smart charger. So when I was in the truck and we were driving, I had to literally turn it on with the switch to tell it to charge and turn it off when we parked somewhere so it didn't wear down my batteries in the truck. So that was a disadvantage. One of the things I liked about it was the smart charging capability of it, is that it'll come on and go off based upon what it sees voltage wise from the battery of the truck. The other thing that I liked about it, which was a real big plus for us, was what they call reverse charging. And what that is that, say that we're in Colorado and we're boondocking in BLM land, we're out there living off of solar and we're there for a week. I haven't started the truck for a week because we're just, doing our thing, hiking, fishing, whatever. And the battery in the truck, is not getting any kind of charge, it's just sitting there. So with this unit, when the house batteries of the solar part get topped off, it senses that it's full. And instead of putting power back to the batteries or whatever through the solar, it'll actually reverse charge. So it'll say, oh, the house batteries are charged up through solar. We're gonna trickle charge the truck battery. So it's reverse charging. So it'll actually send a signal or charge back to the truck and keep the truck batteries charged. What I like about that, so if you're sitting for a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and your truck battery is getting trickle charged through this thing, through your solar. So that was pretty cool. So the 25 amp, really small gauge wire, 10 gauge. The Sterling requires 2 gauge. This. Put these side by side to kind of show you what they look like that. 10 gauge, 2 gauge. So this is going to draw a lot more power, heat from your truck battery back to the truck camper, so you want to be protected. So they recommend 2 gauge. So I bought all this stuff on Amazon. I'm going to put links in the description below of what I bought and whatnot. And I'm going to tell you why. When I first started researching this, I was getting quotes. And the quotes I just thought were way high. I'm able to do everything through the parts that I bought in my labor for 1/3 of what it would cost to get it professionally done. So again, this is Danny done, not professionally done. But hopefully it will keep us safe and I'm doing it the right way. So this goes all the way down from the 150 amp circuit breakers to the lugs, the shrink wrap, the loom, the crimpers, everything. Even the heat gun that I bought, because the last one we had died in the flood during Hurricane Helene last year. So to do the shrink wrap. So everything was bought off of Amazon. And like I said, I'll put the links down below. But I'm super excited about having the power capability of what this thing will put out towards, how many hours it would take me to do 200 amps put back in my battery off of this thing versus how long it's going to take me to put 200 amps back in my battery off of this thing.
On this section of the video, I'm measuring the lengths of the wires that I need to run from the battery to the DC to DC charger. This is a very confined space, so if you're claustrophobic, this is not the job for you. So I stretch the wire from the battery to where I'm going to be putting the DC-DC charger, and I mark it using a Sharpie so I can take into the shop and cut. So here I've taken the wire back to the shop where I can cut it and install the lugs using the shrink wrap, the crimpers, and the heat gun. when using the crimpers, you got to make sure that you use the appropriate size for the wire and the lugs that you're using. One of the most important things you do before crimping the lug to the wire is making sure there's no frays of the wire, so they go on the outside of the lug. You want to make sure that all the wire strands are inside the lug before you crimp. These cable lug crimps are actually the bomb. It took me a few minutes to try to figure out how to use them because I've never used them before, but they were a lot easier than the old anvil with the hammer one that I used to use. I still have. That works really good on smaller gauge wire, but I wanted to make sure I got a really good crimp with these using the 2 gauge wire, and they worked really well. Do yourself a favor and buy this shrink wrap. Get a heat gun. The heat gun was like 20 bucks on Amazon. This will make the job look a lot more professional and help protect your investment. So here I've already installed the Sterling, the DC to DC charger on the wall where I wanted it, and I ended up putting it in the upright position so that I can install the wires on the bottom. This is a very cramped space. Me being a retired submariner in the United States Navy, I was used to working in small confined spaces, but it's still no fun. It was not very easy to do this. When you're installing the 2 gauge wire into the charger, make sure that you don't have any frays from the wire itself. So just take your time and make sure that you see what you're doing before you tighten it down, because the last thing you want is a frayed from the negative to touch a frayed or a part of the positive. So just be careful when you're doing this. Now I'm fixing to install the negative side of the wire that I just hooked up to the DC charger. So the battery's turned off, all my system's turned off. So, but you still have to be careful. The battery still has power, so you don't want to, accidentally touch negative to positive or anything crazy like that. So again, just take your time when you're doing this step. So when you're installing the wires onto the battery, make sure that you don't overly tighten them or you will break the post in the battery, and then you're going to have a really bad, time trying to figure out how to fix that. So, torque it down, but don't go crazy with it.
Okay, so this is phase 1 complete. Got the wires running to the Sterling, and I did decide to go keep it top up. Wire to my fuse, 150 amp fuse, and back to the batteries back there. And the second run is right there. So other than it being just in a tight spot, that went okay. Now the hard part is for me to pull the wires out in that corner right there, and pull the new 2 gauge wire through there, and then hook up to the Sterling. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm going to pull the old 10 gauge out of this hole and then come around through here on my Host, reach my hand in there and pull it out this way. And this is the way, pull pull it out this way, and this is the way I'm going to feed it through to hopefully go through the top up here. All right, my idea worked out really well. We used the old wire, taped it up to the new wire, and pulled it right through. So now what I have to do is connect it to the Sterling and run it along the roof. This is the final install of the DC to DC with the wires for the input and the wires for the output going to the battery system. If you see anything that looks wonky or you don't understand or you got a better idea, please leave me a message in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so this is an Anderson connection, and it's 175 amp and capable of carrying 600 volts. And this one I got that has the handle on there, so when I put it into the other connection, I don't have to grab it by the wires to pull it out. I can just pull it by the handle, which I really like. And then also the dust connector, so if it's sitting out in the elements, it's not going to get rain, dust, dirt, all that kind of stuff. Cover on here, and you're going to see orange tape on here, and what that's for me is so I can see it at night. It makes it easier for me to see. And I added a little bit of extra run. I didn't think an extra 5 feet was going to matter towards the drop in the voltage as much, and if it does, I can always cut it. But what I did to make this work is I had to drill a hole through the Host camper here, and this is a door wall mount protector. So when I bought it at Lowe's, it was like $3, and I cut a hole through it and put it around to protect this. And this wire loom on here, that's as far as it'll go, because I have a zip tie, a real heavy duty zip tie on the other side that'll prevent me from pulling on this if I extend it. But what's really nice about it is I can put it inside, so I can make this as long or as short as I need. So basically, when it's hooked up to the truck camper, or I'm hooked up to the flatbed, I'm only going to use about that much because our connection is right there by the headache rack on our flatbed. So all this is going to go inside. So the reason why I went with the extended length on here is because the only way that the DC to DC charger will power on is by being hooked up to the batteries of the truck. So I wanted a little bit of extra length so I don't have to put the truck camper completely on the truck if I don't need to. So I can run this to the connector on the truck and be able to work on, if I need to work on my solar or anything like that with the DC to DC connection. So that's why I didn't really think that extra 5 feet of length was going to really matter too much on the voltage drop. And the excess here, I just put it inside here. And as you can see, it goes inside here. I got it so it'll loop in here in front of the water tank. This job, from beginning to end, and that's with me kind of walking myself through it myself, took me about, I'd say 6 to 7 hours to do. It took me 2 days. I did about 4 or 5 hours on it yesterday and about an hour today. And I took my time making sure I did everything right and whatnot. So the moral of the story here is I'm not a professional. The professionals told me this was going to be a complete one-day job. And I did it for a third price of what the professionals quoted me. It's not a hard job to do. The hardest part was actually laying aside the bottom of the camper in the morgue, and because there's just not a lot of room, but it was doable. It's a one-man project. Just have all your tools and everything. This is the best Facebook marketplace investment we've ever bought, me and Donna. I think we paid $50 for it. And I use this anytime I do my jobs. I put all my tools on there and I roll it. It's great, I love it. But that's about it. It's completely hooked up. It's ready to go. Really happy with it. And if you stayed this long for the video, I really appreciate your support. And if you got anything out of this, please hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. And thanks, we'll see you next week.